Happy Sunday. I hope you had a great 4th of July, spending some time with the family. And some of you guys even dedicated yourself to learning by taking the course this weekend. That's awesome, as it is only $100 for pretty much today. And you know I like to leave it, the sale going until the next day so that people can come live and ask questions if they have questions. We do have a live stream in the morning. I'll leave the sale up for that live stream so you can come ask some questions. But the real thing I wanted to get at before we get into some technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, and Meta going forward, looking at AMC and GME as well, is the overall sentiment here is just this does not end well, okay? We saw all of these divergences and what happened after that moment, and now we're seeing a bunch of divergences here on the Qs again, and the times where you really want to invest are when you're seeing this signal in the opposite direction. Right here was the time where it was like, hey, this is going to see a big upward run. This is where we overall called the bottom back in 2023, and then now we're starting to say this is looking like some topping behavior, but just know stocks like to go up and the game can continue. So the game can continue for quite some time. We saw that over here with the wonkiness of the MACD, but it did create those points of divergence for us. Are we creating that third point of divergence right now, or are we going to see some kind of minor pullback that leads us even higher? We're going to talk about that today. So let's start off with the SPY. Looking on the weekly time frame, we do have that divergence up above us. So we have to be on our toes for this week. Now that could turn out to be nothing, right? We could just keep going higher and higher and higher, and this means nothing. But if this turns down, that's where we really have to pay attention, guys. Okay, so we are getting into the shorter time frames today. So let's click all the way down into a 2-hour chart here and see what exactly is going on. And as of right now, what do you see on your MACD and RSI? Well, on the MACD, I would say I see a triple divergence across the way, don't we? We see that triple divergence all the way across. But that's really, is that holding as of right now? You're coming in pretty even here. So this could just be another pullback into another upward move. We'll have to find out what is going to happen with this. The main thing I wanted to give you guys today was the weekly ranges, okay? The weekly range is 561.40 to the upside, and we do have 547.88 to the downside. Now, this divergence here, if it means something, that means we might see a downturn right now, but as of right now, we'd have to say, hey, it's a little bit smaller range, so something unexpected would make sense. But it also would make sense to go totally higher, because this has been a bullish market for quite some time, that since we do have this daily range, we only have 556.41 to the upside and 552.87 to the downside. So pretty much what I'm getting at here is this is either going to be just some kind of nothing day, because the range here is very, very small. This might be some kind of nothing day that leads to a break higher. We'll pay attention to that 30-minute time frame, but we have to be aware of this 2-hour curling down into negative territory. Now, we're just being aware of this overall when this crosses as a pullback, right? So if this pulls back down to that weekly expected move, we see that thing curl back up, hey, you might have another positive move in you. That's just swing trading 101. So what we want to pay attention to is this going negative? Is this holding below this weekly move, using it as resistance to then head lower and go deeper into negative territory? Because we really only have dipped into negative territory at certain times throughout this whole run. So what do I want to pay attention to as far as tomorrow goes? Well, I want to look at a 30-minute and see that this thing is cooked, but where is that MACD? It is very, very positive. So if we see some kind of dud day, some kind of pullback like this, and we just curl back up, well, that might be all the pullback that we get. The reason that I'm talking about the upside a little bit here is because if we're already, let's pull up a daily scale, if we're already this high up and heading towards a monthly expected move, it kind of tells me like what's stopping them from doing this. I mean, maybe they need to collect some more buyers before it happens. Maybe they need to reconnect with some moving averages. But overall, you would say, you know, if the monthly expected move is up here towards 562.90, and we're really pointing in that direction, it leads me to believe, hey, we might actually see a sporadic move higher. Now, I'm aware of that, but I'm also aware of something else on this daily chart, which is the divergence that is right here. Now, look, you're far away from the center line, so I don't think this is over yet. I think we might leak this all the way into the fall. I really do at this point, because we've headed higher for too long now. It's like, okay, are they really going to just send it higher and then all of a sudden crash this thing down? I don't think so. I think it's going to come in the form of a bear market. I think that this market is overly complicated to trade in right now. If you are really trying to find solid opportunities, I think that it's a little bit more difficult, and that's why the course is $100 for literally today only. So and coming into tomorrow's live stream, if you join us live, have some questions, I'll answer those, and then after the live stream I do increase the price because this is a sale, guys. So right now I just want to pay attention to that divergence and how far away it is from the center line. So I don't necessarily see us getting something absolutely awful. I more so would say if this crosses over, that would be a more significant pullback. Maybe we want to pull back into this previous zone and then to head up from there. So we'll pay attention to these type of things throughout the month of July. But right now, it looks like you're pointing towards the upside move. So keep that in mind with your trading. Maybe a 30-minute pullback is all we get for a couple of days, and then that is able to turn back up into positive territory. Really pay attention to that with the 30-minute MACD here. You can see it with the Qs starting to curl over, but the price action is still heading up. So momentum is saying I'm dying out. You see it pointing down on the RSI, see it pointing down on the MACD. So do we just get some kind of pullback into that daily expected move, which sits around 493.46 to the downside, and then we have the upside move at 498.86 to the upside. Sorry, this was downside. But we want to pay attention to this line because look how close it is to getting there. So it might just want to back off for a brief moment and then turn up the next day, giving us some kind of reversal signal. Like this type of signal would be very meaningful, and we will point this out, especially on Patreon. We'll be pointing these things out this week. So we do have to pay attention to the weekly expected move. It is way outside of that monthly. We're seeing some crazy moves in Tesla. We got to get into Tesla because that thing has some big implied volatility. So what are those weekly expected moves? Well, we have 505.05 to the upside, then we have 487.27 to the downside. So 30-minute pulls back, turns up, positivity can be there. If that goes negative, okay, but it's just very far away from negative territory, guys. So this is a very bullish move, and it might just need to back off. Now, when you pull up the 2-hour chart, you're seeing something a little bit different. We're getting a divergence in the nearest price action on the MACD and RSI at the same time. Now, the reason I'm pointing out 2-hour divergences and why you need to be aware of them, not saying they have to play out, they have to go negative. You have to see a lot of things going on for this to happen. But if this starts to go negative or even just crosses over, you have a good probability to turn down this daily chart. Now, why would I want to be paying attention to the daily chart around this area? Well, we're right around a monthly expected move. We have a daily expected move that's pretty close to it. So if we see a random move up, what if that starts to fade? And then we see a divergence here. Now, is this divergence still very far away from the center line? Yes, it is. So I need to pay attention to any time that wants to curl back up into positive territory. This could literally leak down into that 20 and turn right back up, and we could see another upward move going into the fall. So I'm very aware of this, but I'm paying attention to any possible downside moves because there could be something sudden happen if the AMC and GME problem actually, comes to light. If there is actually some kind of collateral that has to be taken out of the Qs and the SPY, that would be a big deal to pay attention to. So I'm paying attention to these signals as of right now. You do have that daily divergence, and you do have, and they're both forming. Just want to be clear about that. They're both just forming at this point. So you need to see these things actually confirm. It would be a probable time for this to reverse back down, but as that weekly expected moves there, what do we want to pay attention to? If that rolls back up at any time this week, if we see a more dramatic pullback, well, we would want to see if that bases out, curls back up into positive territory around this weekly expected move of 487.27 for the Q. So keep that in mind. Keep pretty much all of this in mind and just have these levels up on your chart. Last thing to note for the Qs, you're above the annual expected move. So you're higher up than what you're supposed to be for the entire year. And we've got, 5 months left. So it's really adding up to we're going to see some kind of downward price action by the end of 2024. But that's all I can say. That's just the probability, say 68% chance that the Qs land below where we're at right now by the end of the year. So keep that in mind as we keep trailing higher and making these divergences. We could make one more on the daily side of things before we actually see a downturn come fall. Now, Apple, what do we want to pay attention to here? Well, we have those new weekly expected moves up for you guys. We have those new weekly expected moves up for you guys. It only costs you a cup of coffee to get all of the weekly expected moves that we cover on this channel, and that includes AMC and GME, okay? That includes AMC and GME. So if you want those weekly expected moves, they're great for profit taking. They're great for everything. They're great for seeing if something crazy is going to happen, because what are you going to see? Well, you're going to see a 30-minute MACD curl up above that weekly and the monthly expected move for Apple right now. So we saw that curl up right on this bar here, and hey, it went a little bit higher. Okay, so the swing trade in this will help you out. It'll help you take profit, and we even gave you the daily expected moves for that as well. So get those on your chart. Right now, it looks like the 30-minute, not necessarily making divergences at the same time, very far away from the center line. So Apple still looks very very, very bullish. Now you have a weekly expected move. So if we dip down on the 30-minute to that weekly expected move, turn right back up, okay, maybe that's all that needed to happen for us to see another upside move. Then we would want to pay attention to any kind of divergence that forms between these highs. Okay, that's what we want to pay attention to for Apple. And then on the 2-hour, this is still a bullish move, guys. I want to be very clear about that. It's bullish, but at the same time, I'm seeing some possible weakness in momentum. Now, I'm saying possible weakness in momentum because these things have not confirmed. You notice right here, we tried to confirm down, right back up. So at no point after this curled back up has it said, hey, downside potential. If anything, at this point, it said, hey, swing trade, uh-oh, something bad could happen. Okay, never mind, something good's going to happen. And boom, that right there is where we bursted through that weekly expected move, right there. So there are trades to be had. You just kind of have to turn your brain off a little and just swing trade with this thing for a little bit and be aware of the reversal signals, because you want to make sure that swing trade is going to work out for you. At this point, you do have a reversal signal if this crosses down on this MACD, but notice it's still pretty far away from the center line. So this could just base out, have one more curl up left in it, and then maybe we want to pay attention to that. But this 2-hour divergence can roll over daily charts. So let's take a peek at the daily real quick. And what do we see up here? We see a divergence. So it's kind of adding up to either we're going to get a nothing day and then a move higher throughout the week, or we are going to see maybe something bad happen before earnings. We'll pay attention to that. Okay, so pay attention to all these things. Now, Tesla, you probably thought this can't get crazier, right? This stock can't get crazier because that's a massive, massive move. Curled up on this daily MACD, never curled back down. So it is a positive move. That is awesome. You're gaining back the 200. All of these things are bullish. You're breaking through the trend line. All of these things are good. Looking now, if this is a good investment, well, that monthly hasn't fully turned up yet, but that's a strong bar. We have a lot of time left in this bar, though. We have 24 days left in this. So we have to pay attention to how it looks by the end of the month, or I would say in the last week of the month. So at this point on the daily scale, you're saying, hey, this thing is above a monthly, it's above a weekly, and now you're getting new weekly expected moves. You're probably thinking this thing can't get crazier. Well, let me just tell you something real quick and why you might want to join the Patreon today. It's just because if you are trying to trade something like Tesla, Tesla has even more implied volatility, which means for this week, it has more implied volatility, which means a bigger range for this week. So now it might not be that big. I'm just kind of, trying to draw out like, hey, this is a bigger range this week. We had a big range last week and we bursted through that. Now we have a bigger range, so we have to pay attention to that. As of right now, the daily looks very, very cooked. Implied volatility means bigger swings both ways. It doesn't mean negativity. It doesn't mean positivity. It means bigger swings both ways. As of right now, that swing was to the upside. So let's go look at this. It's overbought on the daily scale. It's on the 2-hour looking like, hey, it really needs a pullback. So the best thing for Tesla to do here is to pull back, but not pull back too dramatically, right? Nothing crashy, just something like this to pull down over time and then curl back up, maybe with some kind of retest of that broken trend line. That would be very nice because that would get you down towards that center line. You curl back up into positive territory. It would be a great sign for Tesla, but you have to be aware of everything going on out there. This does not have reversal signals, but the SPY, the Qs, Apple, a lot of these other stocks do. So you just have to be aware of that. Once again, I don't know if there's a short seller problem with Tesla. I know there was one in the past. They tried to beat Tesla stock up in the past using the same methods that they're using for AMC and GME. If you're not aware of that, they did not like Elon Musk and they do not like Tesla at first. And guess what? Tesla is breaking to the upside with the short seller problem that's coming to light. So this will be interesting to see if this continues to go upward. As of right now, looking like a 2-hour pullback looks likely. If we're not going to get a 2-hour pullback, well, then this 30-minute this is squeeze behavior when you're just kind of just rolling up to the highs and your momentum is just pointing down. That squeeze behavior at that point. If we're going to see some kind of pullback, at least on the 30-minute, let this thing get close to that center line, see some kind of little pullback, maybe to fill this gap at 231, and then see that thing turn right back up. See that thing turn up in positive territory. Good sign for the 30-minute. No real reversal signals in here, just a small 30-minute divergence, which could say that the 2-hour is going to roll down for that bigger pullback. So pretty much it's like, this is very, very bullish. I'm not going to chase this. That's what my MACD is telling me. And what my MACD is also telling me is this is very bullish. So if this curls down and curls back up, I should be aware that this is overall bullish with no real reversal signals in it for Tesla. And it has a large implied volatility. So that curl up actually could be a very big move again. So we'll pay attention to that for Tesla. Amazon, this one here, a lot of wonky 2-hour divergences. We mentioned this on Thursday night's video. We said on Friday, watch out because there could be one more 30-minute move up. Now that weekly expected move is right here. So we're paying attention to Amazon as of right now, but we want to see if it's going to behave like other stocks in the market. Is it just going to burst through and see something crazy? Or are these divergences going to have something to say at this point? Some kind of overall pullback is what looks likely here. See if that's able to curl up at any time. That's where that weekly range can come into some big handy, okay? So 30-minute here, we wanted to pull this up as well. Seeing the triple divergence, you see how close it's getting to the center line. This is the one, guys. This is Amazon's the one. I said I like this trade setup. The only thing I don't like about it is on Friday, we just moved sideways, which means we could be building liquidity to break through this key level. So paying attention to that going forward, still in bullish territory, just telling you a contrarian bear signal with divergences across the way. So there is a pretty good percentage that right now we're going to see that reverse back down, go through that center line. I just wanted to point that out for Amazon, but we do have that new weekly expected move. So if you point out that weekly expected move, maybe that thing just curls down, curls right back up at any time. Or maybe we're going to see a downward divergence. Maybe we see something like this happen, and then that's able to base out around that weekly expected move, and then that 2-hour curls back up. So pay attention to these things. We'll be talking a lot about these things live. So do join, subscribe, make sure to like the video. I really appreciate you guys, and you guys are fantastic about liking these videos. So just triple divergence for Amazon at these highs. If it breaks through, that would make sense because we're compiling up right at resistance, okay? Nvidia, this one here curling down, telling you, hey, right now I'm in a 30-minute pullback. Now we did say a retest of 125 would make sense. You kind of bursted through that. You never really retested it, so that would make sense. As of right now, it really likes this zone. So what if it wanted to go touch into that zone? And we have those weekly ranges for you. So the 30-minute looks like it is in pullback mode. See if that's able to reverse around at any time, okay? So the 2-hour, this thing trying to go positive, there it goes positive, but is it very positive? No. So you have to be aware of downside here. You have to be aware of downside for Nvidia. It does not look like Tesla, right? It doesn't look like Tesla that's way up here and looks like a pullback would be a plausible situation. Right now, it looks like, hey, if I go negative, I could still see some wonky behavior. I've built up a lot of liquidity. I saw the move down, the fake out. Now I see the move out up. Is that a fake out to then send this thing lower? We'll find out. But if this 2-hour crosses up, there's no reason for upside for Nvidia. And then we'd pay attention to weekly expected move, see if that thing's able to curl back up. That's what you got to do for Nvidia. Let's just check this out on the daily scale. Seeing that is still in pullback mode, okay? You see this is still in pullback mode. Now, this bar right here, when we talk about the swing trading course that's coming out soon, this right here is a good sign for Nvidia. I wanted to be clear about that. That is kind of a swing trade signal that can lead to more upside. All that's lacking is, well, the RSI is above 50. Above the center line. And then also you have this, which is above all of the moving averages, and you're still above it. So this could all just be pullback mode. And then the last indicator you need to cross up is the MACD. So we're going to talk a lot about this in the swing trading portion of the course that's coming out soon. But for now, just get that course right now, because this one that is out right now, that's $100, will teach you how to trade in any market. It is the information you absolutely need to know for any kind of strategy, and it will really help you out as far as profit taking, managing your risk, all those type of things. But looking at the daily scale, if that turns up, hey, we can go test this high, go make a new one. Right now, you're seeing pretty much every signal say that that's going to happen, except for the MACD, which is probably the lagging one, but it's kind of the most important one in my opinion. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, if that did happen, watch out for a divergence up there for sure. You know what I mean? Now, AMD, this one saw a huge move, and this is what I'm talking about. We're seeing a lot of huge moves outside of those weekly ranges. And what do we notice? Well, that thing curled up and finally went positive. So it went positive on this bar. The next day, it sees that big move. So this is kind of the signal I'm talking about for Nvidia. You see that big closing bar right here. This is a good swing trade signal, but notice it got the MACD to confirm that at the same time. So technically, Nvidia could be somewhere like this, where it sees one more dip down, and then it's able to really curl up on the MACD, confirming that upside move. So you did get confirmation of the upside move, Daily momentum took over for AMD, and upside was the overall move. Very, very cool there. But what does AMD look like right now? It looks like a 2-hour pullback would make sense. It doesn't have to, though. We can remain overbought for some time, right? So really, I want to look at a 30-minute, but just be aware of that turning down. You're still decently close to the center line, so I think this may just not even curl over on the 2-hour. So if I think it's not going to curl over on the 2-hour, which I think does not mean it cannot happen, the 30-minute is what I want to pay attention to first. See that 30-minute get close to that center line, curl up into positive territory. Maybe it even gets towards a weekly expected move and curls up. And then I say, okay, this is a swing trade up to the upside. And now we would look out for any kind of divergences that show themselves up here. So pay attention to that for AMD. I think the likely scenario here with this very bullish move is at least some kind of 30-minute pullback, some kind of consolidation here. Doesn't mean it has to drop off a cliff. It could just move a little bit sideways for an amount of time and then curl up and go positive, as we've seen a lot of positive moves lately. Meta, really want to pay attention to this one. You're going to see similar things here, right? That it's really high up and we might see some kind of divergence form first with some kind of 30-minute pullback. Yes, all of those things are true. But I want to be a little bit worried about this one. The reason that I'm a little bit worried about this one, not necessarily because there's huge divergences or anything like that on 2-hour, nothing like that. Even though 2-hour could see a pullback here, it's very overbought. It looks like a 30-minute pullback's most likely. But I just wanted you to pay attention to the daily scale first off and just see how high up we have gone and how much it really drops when bad news comes in. And if I even zoom out and show you a weekly scale and just show you, in 2021, I think it was 2021, September 2021, all the way into the bottom of October 2022, this thing, Meta, went lower. It went lower than the 2020 crash, than the COVID crash. That's very important to understand. That tells me that this might just be artificially held up, and when it does drop, it could be ugly. So as of right now on the weekly scale, no real divergences, but you are forming one right now. So if you go a little bit higher, you could cross up, see a few weeks of positivity, but I'd be watching out come fall, okay? I'd really be watching out come fall for Meta because it looks like some big things can happen for Meta. You notice when the market experiences weakness, hey, this thing experiences extreme weakness. So the fact that it's seeing extreme strength kind of tells me, hey, the market sees extreme strength, Meta sees extreme strength. The market sees extreme weakness, Meta sees extreme weakness compared to other stocks in the market. So I'm going to be paying close attention to this, and this might be my overall long-term play for a big downward move. So I just wanted to point that out this morning. Now, AMC, I know we all want to talk about this one. Right now, we have the monthly that is turned up. All right, we're working on the next month. So let's look at the daily scale. Remember, this is one of the most important signals here is going to be the daily crossing up into positive territory. That is the last time that we really see those moves. You need daily momentum behind you. And look at this. It's trying to, but it is not. So I'm going to give you guys those new ranges for it so that you can see how high up you have to go this week for AMC to see that squeeze. And I'm going to tell you something interesting about GME, so stick around for GME. We're doing that one next. But for now, AMC needs to get above 579. Okay, so it's interesting to see AMC actually spreading out the ranges, getting more implied volatility. That tells me that the market maker is more aware of AMC this week. Okay, a lot of people would tell you more implied volatility means a bigger upside move, which is sometimes true, but it can mean moves either way. And at the same time, the more implied volatility you have, the more that the market maker is expecting a bigger move. Therefore, in this case with AMC, they know they need to fight the stock this week. If they're not able to fight the stock, we see some kind of something come out that causes some kind of big buying. Well, then you would need to get above 579. If you get above 579, that would be something unexpected happening. The market maker would not even expect this right now. So if you're able to do that and hold above that level, you can see something crazy. All right, that's why I want you to pay attention to this. As of right now, the daily has not curled over. You are still in pullback mode. We've talked about that for a while. And as of right now, you have to look at the 2-hour. The 2 hours in pullback mode as well. 2 hours in pullback mode, you're kind of flagging after this downward move. So you need that 2 hour to curl up into positive territory. territory. That's the main thing here. And then 30-minute, you first of all, the first thing you need in order to see that, and actually the daily's so close to turning up that if this 30-minute is able to turn up and stay up for just one day, you might get daily momentum behind you the next day. So really pay attention to this 30-minute. If it's staying curled up tomorrow, actually, I would really pay attention to that, because if this remains curled up, they either need to seriously fight the stock the next day, or daily momentum could take over, and that could be a big moment for AMC. So pay close attention. AMC building up from that 437 level we've talked about a lot. And look at this. If it just curls up, where's positive territory? It's right there. But as of right now, is it curled up? No. So we have to be a little bit negative on the stock until we see that curl up. We'll see what happens as far as the open goes tomorrow. Now, GME, we're going to work a little bit backwards here to show you guys how the 30-minute is overall in a pullback still. So that needs to turn up and go positive to see a good move. Now the 2-hour needs to curl up into positive territory. You have the divergence there. This is the signal we said to pay attention to. Boom, a divergence down here, you know, kind of completing around that 25 level is great, but you notice that that 24.56, it is really holding as resistance right now, and we're seeing a lot of wicks at that area. So they do not want to close above our support level that we kind of found above that level of 24.56. They really don't want to close above there. As of right now, the 2-hour is still curled up, giving you that signal that the divergence can send you into positive territory. We just need that 30-minute to curl up. But the most important signal is going to be the daily. Look at that. It's kind of like, if it's going to happen, like based on these indicators, if it's going to happen and curl up and go positive, it really would be in the next couple of days. Like I really think it would be. This needs to confirm soon. If you're able to confirm that, well, you got to get above. Well, we got a new level for you, so we got to update that real quick. Let's update that for you. 2668. Now notice this, 2766. Now that's 2668. My bad, 68. Okay, so that's 2668. So what happened to GME? This is the interesting thing about GME I wanted to talk about. The implied volatility is officially below 100 for like the first time in weeks. Ever since Roaring Kitty came back, this thing has had implied volatility above 100, which tells me something. It tells me that they are more focused on AMC right now and not necessarily focused on GME. So they are not expecting GME to make some kind of big upward move. So if this is able to get above there, you notice it will be easier. It's less space to cover. It's less ground to cover to see that gamma squeeze really come in, to see something unexpected. So pay attention if this daily crosses up, because once that daily crosses up, you're very, very close to crossing above 2668, and that is the level to pay attention to. And the market makers wouldn't expect it, and they are not expecting a big move this week. That is what the implied volatility is telling me. Remember, when everyone expected it with a very high implied volatility, what happened? Nothing happened, because the market maker is expecting a big move as well. This week, they are expecting way less of a move than we have seen in a long time. That tells me this is something different, and I need to pay attention to this week. If this daily MACD curls up, I think we have a good likelihood to cross above 2668. Maybe see something crazy happen. We'll find out. But as of right now, we have to play with the signals. The signals right now are pointing down. It is starting to go negative. That is not a good thing for the stock. So you need those shorter time frames to start curling up, to curl up this daily MACD. It's pretty simple there. Now, as far as it goes, the dollar, I want to pay attention to this as well. But right now we're seeing the dollar leak down, and actually gold really catch a bid here. So I actually think this is where most of the money is flowing to. I actually think most of the money right now is flowing into gold, because these are some serious gap ups. We showed a 30-minute signal right here that looked really, really good. And then we get one rigged move down, it gaps right back up, and then that goes. So this signal kind of unconfirmed, and then you just saw that thing turn back up. So the swing trade here crossing up on the daily MACD right here above the 9. And that's a good sign as these are piled up. This was the signal for the swing trade. Boom, that starts to head up. So we'll get that out there as soon as possible. But I just wanted to show you guys how I think a lot of this drop in the dollar is going towards gold, which is very, very interesting to me. Now I am going to pay attention to the dollar until the morning, and we'll mention it live if we're seeing some selling while the market goes actually higher. We'll see if that insider selling signal is there. Now, one thing that was very interesting to me as well is the fact that the volatility here, this is why you have to be aware when you're trading to the upside right now. You have to be aware of these kind of signals because this is a serious divergence right here. It's very close to going positive, which means that trend for volatility can reverse around, and we could see volatility, which means that we could see some kind of big drop. And you see that on the RSI at the same time. You just see that thing pointing up. So the momentum here is telling you, hey, I have divergence points between these lows right here, and I do have, maybe a point right here to pay attention to as well. But the main thing is this thing could flip up and go positive. So I'm really paying attention to volatility. We talked about this 1212 level coming down and retesting that level. Now we're seeing that if we see volatility increase, we have a small range for Monday. So I'm not taking something crazy off the table for this week. It looks like AMC and GME might curl up on daily charts, and it looks like a lot of 2-hour divergences are above us. So we could see some kind of dip. Is that going to be the actual major top? Well, we have to see if things are curling back up. We are very much so a trade like water channel. We say trade like water a lot. We're not going to try to get overly bullish, overly bearish. We're going to pay attention to the times where it is prudent. It is important to pay attention to those reversal signals, but we know that this market is overall rigged. So we need to pay attention to how we can get screwed, which is something that we teach you in the course how to manage your trade and not get screwed over too bad, right? I always like to say this. I say this multiple times these days. I really like to say it because it really needs to be in your brain. Taking a loss is not the worst thing in the world. Taking a 20-30% loss even in one trade is not the worst thing in the world. The worst thing that you can do is dedicate all your money and let them take all your money. Making it so they can't take all your money, taking profit, or even taking a loss based on a signal that you're seeing in front of you. Managing your trade is just as good as making profit. It really is, because it lets you continue the game. It lets you not give all of your money to them, and you should be very, very excited about it. We talk about that in the course very extensively, and really just hype up the fact that that is part of being a trader, is finding out when you're wrong, admitting when you're wrong, taking accountability, and then being like, I'm wrong, but I'm not going to let them take all my money. I think that is a very powerful thing to tell people who are new to trading, especially, is you are going to have losses. I still have losses, and that's perfectly fine, but I manage my risk so those losses are minimal compared to my wins. All right, so the main takeaway here is, yes, we are seeing a bullish move, so we have to be aware of things that continue to curl up into positive territory. We're starting to get close to those monthly moves. We're outside of annual moves for the Qs, so we have to pay attention to these types of things, like, are there reversal signals? There are right now, but they're still far away from negative territory. So we could see one more upward move into the fall unless we see something crazy happen, because AMC and GME very close to curling up into positive territory on daily MACDs, while at the same time volatility is showing us it is about to curl up into positive territory with some kind of divergence. So just pay attention, be careful out there. The best advice I can give is trade like water. Take the course if you need to learn more about these indicators in the overall stock market, like how to trade these actual things, how to manage your risk. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Liking, subscribing, taking the course, joining Patreon. It seems a lot of people are finding this channel helpful, and that is the overall goal for this channel. So I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys live tomorrow, but all the luck in the world with your trades going on this week. All right. Peace.